I'm Gerry, and this is my God story. My God story is from 2005. I was driving a panel van doing a delivery to a number of after-school programs that I was a coordinator for. I was approaching an intersection, dropped an envelope in the floor, and unprofessionally looked down to pick it up. Took my eyes off the road. And the next thing I know, I ran into the back of a city lift truck. So I made my way out of the van. I tried to stand up, called for some assistance, still trying to get my leg to stand up. My foot was crooked sideways. Shortly thereafter, the ambulance arrived, and I told the guy who was, I guess, the chief attendant with the ambulance that if he could pop my hip socket back in, I should be fine. And he said, well, no, we need to get you to the hospital. And everybody kept paying attention to my eye. And what I did not realize is I basically punctured my eye. They took me to x-ray. A few moments passed. The pain began to kind of show up. And then I remember a doctor eventually walking in telling me that he had some good news and bad news. The good news was that they could fix my eye. The bad news was that I had a unique break because the impact that the break had on my kneecap essentially had knocked my hip socket through my skeletal socket. The eye doctor arrived, Dr. Bateman, and began working on my eye. And ironically, Dr. Bateman had just left my mother, who was out in the emergency room, who used to keep Dr. Bateman when he was a little boy. And then I remember the surgeon coming in, and he introduced himself. And he essentially told me that I'm going to do my job, God's going to do his job, but you got to do your job. And about that moment, I had this feeling that God was speaking to me and saying, hey, I got stuff for you to do. God has been at work in my life, and over the next 2 or 3 months, what I discovered was that I'd always been a person who had concentrated on obtaining wealth, buying lots of bonds, saving money, traveling, doing whatever I wanted to do. And all of a sudden, as I was recovering, I began to go through everything that I had accumulated and saved. And I remember sitting and reading the Bible a lot of times, and I remember this vision that I had where I was like me looking over a cliff down at something. I don't know what it was, but I said, I don't want to go down there. And I just had this feeling that I needed to be focusing on doing some things different in my life, and that, you know, no matter what you do in life, no matter how much money you have, at the end of the day, all you've got is your relationship with God. Last year, actually, I remember about April beginning to have pains in my stomach. I didn't know what they were. Like a man, I ignored them for about a month, and then they got so bad that I would have to lay down in the afternoon sometime when I came home. I felt like I was losing strength. Ended up going to the doctor after a while. They found lymphoma in my stomach. I have the pictures. It took a couple of weeks for the lab to work through them. And the ironic thing is that when they went back through them, there was no lymphoma there. And so all of a sudden the lymphoma was gone. And I had this vision of God telling me to live till I die, which means that to me, I'm supposed to do God's will until I'm not here anymore. I can't do it. I've been in law enforcement for 30 years. I get to meet people who are usually in trouble. Some people have never been to church. They don't go to church. Church language turns them off, but you have to meet people where they are. And so that's the focus that I've taken, is that, you know what, whoever I meet, wherever I meet, I should be devoted to introducing you to Jesus and letting Jesus do what Jesus does. And today I just give great praise to God, because not only can I see, God has just blessed me with a vision to do what I need to do. I call it God vision. As long as I've got God vision, I'm good. I'm Gerry. This is my God story. What's yours?